How's everybody doing? Let me get you to turn your cameras on so I'm seeing the smiling faces of all these amazing people. Welcome, welcome. I see Brent's pictures here. Usually when I pop in, there's another meeting going on. Did you guys wrap up early? Nice. We let everybody in. We're going to jump right on. Hey, that's a familiar face. Lee Tessier's joining the call. What's up, Lee?
Well, how are you?
Nice to see you, man.
You too. You look good.
Yeah, feeling good. Put my jacket on for this call to up my A game just a little bit.
There you
Are
go.
we ready to go? Can we just jump in? Okay, so this is our sales mastery call that Brent has me doing every week, and it's been kind of fun. The last the last several calls we've had have been really focused on developing, creating a listing turnaround framework. And when so many of us have inventory that's just sitting and it's not turning and not moving, we've created an unbelievable series of things you work through with your clients to make sure that the properties are moving. And so, if any of you are struggling or you have listings that are sitting, then this is a great process to take them through. I'm going to share with you the last two elements of the listing turnaround framework. Before I do that, let me ask a question, and you guys come off mute and talk to me about this. How important are the words we choose to use when dealing with our sellers who are ticked off already? How important is the way we phrase things? What do you think? Do you think it matters?
Of course it matters.
Okay, so how so?
All right, how so? Well, if you wave a red flag in front of a bull, they're going to see more red. They're going to want to charge. So
Okay.
you have to be careful not to use charging-like words that will exasperate an already difficult situation.
Have you ever, okay, so I think about this with critical conversations with people I love, my wife, my daughter, whatever. And have you ever said something that sent them on a tailspin, knowing that that word was the wrong one to use in that moment? Anybody, or is it just me? Yeah, okay. So we've all done that. So telling the truth, even though it's true, the way we phrase it matters. Telling a seller, you just need to, frick, you just got to reduce the price is probably not the way to start a conversation with someone who's already thinking you've underdelivered because you took the listing at a price you said you could sell it for. And now you're telling them you can't. And so now you're in this situation where you've got to have a critical conversation. And so what I'm going to share with you today is we over the last couple of days, let me see if I can, over the last couple of weeks, let me give you this. Lee, I don't think this is your first call you've been here on. So
Yeah.
let me make sure you have this. So on these calls, I shared with everybody a thing called the Workman Mastery Insider. And once you subscribe to this, whenever I do a call, whatever the resource I give out, you'll get the resource or tool for that call. And so if everybody's coming on for the first time, just grab this really quick because I don't want to do like downloads and collect email addresses and have my sales team follow up and call you every time you get through a call. What I want you to do is just be on these calls, invite your teams, your groups, so that they can have access. So they become an insider. We have access to the resources and tools, insider tips, and sometimes even behind the scenes content. So that's available to everybody. In our last call, here's all the stuff we covered that you might have missed. We talked about using the pivotal conversations timetable of identifying when and how to have strategic conversations during a listing. We also talked about using DISC to understand your seller and how to communicate based on who they are and words that would trigger them. Today, I'm going to talk about sharing the truth without triggering defensiveness. I'm going to drag this over. So are you seeing like my PDF version of this? So I'm going to give this to you in my digital download today, but telling the truth isn't the hard part. It's actually getting them in a mindset or a frame to be able to hear it without shutting them down or pushing back. And so why sellers get defensive, it's important to understand that they get defensive, and it's not because they're being stubborn on purpose. It's they're interpreting your words through their own lens, and their lens is fear and pride and even disappointment. Those are the things that they're experiencing, and they have this feeling that they're going to have this loss of perceived value or loss of control or loss of confidence in their agent. All of those things are happening just when we pick up the phone and they know it's you calling. And so how do we depersonalize data? How do we say things so that they don't feel like it's an attack on them or even on you personally? Helpful phrases like, let's take a look at what the market is, how the market's behaving right now, is a really great, simple way of rephrasing something. Or here's what buyers here's what buyers are rewarding in today's market. This is what that they're seeing. This isn't about whether your home is good or bad. It's about how it's positioned relative to what's selling. So this isn't a conversation about what we're doing good or bad. It's about how we're positioning relative to what's actually selling. And so the goal is to shift the blame away from the seller by saying your house isn't priced right or the condition's bad. It puts them in a defensive mode. They feel attacked and they put up their walls. Great agents that sell a lot of property really understand how to message differently. But agents who really don't move a lot of property have never dealt in a tough market, which is the majority of realtors have never been in a market that's hard. Like anyone who's been in the business the last 10 years has never been in a challenging market. You have to go all the way back to 2008. And so when you say we need to lower the price, you slap them, like hit them with a 2x4 right between the eyes. Or, hey, buyers didn't like the condition of your property. What you're saying is you keep a lousy house, you gravy sucking pig. Like that, you might as well attack them personally like that. It's not selling because it's overpriced. What if we reposition and say something like this? We may need to reposition the price to attract stronger interest. Does that feel different? We might have to reposition it. Or, buyers are leaning towards home with more updated features. It's just a fact about what they're leaning towards, not that yours is bad. Or the current list to sell trend suggests that we might be slightly above where the market is rewarding offers. Think about that. It's just a simple way of phrasing something that means the same thing. You're smoking crack on price. We need to change it. But you can't say it like that. We can't be that direct because people don't respond positively to it. You have to say it like, the current list to sell trend suggests we might be slightly above where the market is rewarding offers. Wow, it'd be great to get an offer. I know. Why don't we reposition to get there? And the next thing is to really practice. How many of you do role play practice? Really do role plays with your teams? I see one hand on my list go up. Lee, are you the only one? Oh, let me get a bigger broad so I can see everybody.
We still do.
You're still doing role plays?
3 days a week.
Good answer. And now we have a role play bot that is actually an AI tool that allows you to role play all of our like Workman scripts and dialogues and everything, and then it rates your role play, and then it comes back and gives you suggestions on how to do it better. It's super cool.
Nice.
And so there's always new things happening. I'm gonna give you a little FOMO, Lee. Okay, so now we look at practicing transition statements. Okay, so this is what you might say. Can I show you what I believe the market's trying to tell us? Can I show you that? It's just what I think the market's trying to say to us. Do you think sellers would be more interesting to that? Would they be more interested in responding to that? Or, hey, I've been reviewing the numbers and I want to walk you through a couple of things that I'm seeing. It's just data. It's not about you. It's just data. I'm just data driven. If you set your listing up correctly in the beginning, they know that these conversations are coming, that it's based on data. But when you don't set it up right and you overpromise, that's when you run into these critical conversations being a problem. Let's visit the strategy now and that we've had a chance to gather some real feedback. Let's really look at, is the strategy still the same? If it is, great. Your job is not to tell them to reduce the price. Your job is to give them the options. If you keep the price the same, we'll continue to get the result we have. If we make these course corrections, you'll have some other options. And one of the options might be we pull the house off the market. I want them to do what is best for their family, but I don't want to force it because of bad languaging. Does that make sense? And so don't force it because of bad languaging. And so now how do we role play that? So the next thing I'm going to give y'all is I'm going to give you how to role play these confident conversations, on how to role play these with your team. And so why role play works, we'll go through that, what to practice and what not to say. Like, I think a lot of times we role play what to say and we don't really focus on what not to say. And I think what not to say is equally as important. Like, I just know there's certain things, if I say it, it is not going to be met with love. And so we've been trained by the negative response we get from the people we care about when we say certain things that it's not met with the kind of response that we want. And so avoid over scripting. You're not performing here. You're actually coming in really prepared. Focus on your tone and your pacing, your posture, your facial expression. Sometimes you don't even have to say anything. When someone's telling you something and they know how you're going to respond before you say it, how do you think they're picking that up? It's your facial expressions. And so even though you're disappointed in what they're responding with, don't practice on not being so expressive. Us high eyes, we're very expressive. Your ability to adjust based on your emotion. And then here's some of the different role play scenarios that we teach our teams to role play. And you try these with peers, right? And so it's final word. Practice like it's the real thing. And this is really important. So let's go through role play scenarios. The listing is overpriced, isn't getting offers. And so use the dialogue that I gave you before and role play it out. The seller just rejected a reasonable offer and wants to wait. Is that a great thing to role play, Lee? Like,
Yes, it is.
like what would you say in that scenario? The seller just rejected a reasonable offer and wants to wait.
If I'm talking to the seller,
Yeah.
and seller rejected. So I'm just thinking of the scenario. So I got an offer in from an agent. Is that what you're saying, or
And
from?
the seller's saying, nope, we're not taking it. It's
Yeah.
$5,000 low on an $800,000 house, and our price is worth it.
Yeah. Well, I'm usually saying like right now you're the highest bidder. You haven't had anything else, and depending on how long they've been on the market, and then I'd get into comparable sales of like, hey, this one just sold, or this one went pending, or these other ones that are just sitting. So I'll get into to that instead.
So you said something at the very beginning that I love, and that's you're the highest bidder. So
Mhm.
if an offer comes in less than ask and you don't take it, that means you're willing to pay more than that for this house in this condition at this time. So you're bidding against that offer. Are you willing to pay that? You're the highest bidder. Like that dialogue is magic because they're like, well, no, I wouldn't. Well, then you maybe should consider the one that has a bona fide offer, because when you bid against it or you reject it, you're basically saying you're willing to buy this house back for this price. And would you? And if there's like, I would all day long, you're like, okay, next.
Or I'll get into the motivation of the reason why they're selling. Like, hey, that for that 5 grand, is it getting you closer to your goals of, whatever it may be? Or hey, the reason you said you didn't like this house any longer is because of the steps or whatever it may be. So you just got to come bring them back to the source spot of their motivation of why they're selling.
Those are all phenomenal, and I agree with all of them. Another one that is really good is I like to just do the math. And how does the math impact your overall situation and moving forward? And so we're arguing over 7 grand or 10 grand or 15 grand or whatever the number is. And let's see what kind of an impact that makes on what you buy or where you're going next or whether or not you'll be able to move. Most people, when you do the math and you really break it down, is so insignificant. The cost of staying is so much more when you've gone through and done the math. So those are all simple ways of doing it. When you don't have, you're receiving feedback from a client that home smells and it needs paint or it's too cluttered. Like, does anybody ever have to have that hard conversation with someone? Your house smells like cat pee. Is that what you tell them? Man, your house stinks. I actually would. I would actually do it on the first walkthrough and say, it's a price war and a beauty contest. You got to win both offline and online. And so not everybody has a nose like I do. I can't even rent a car if someone smoked in it ever, because I can smell it. And so I'm a good guy to walk through and just see if potential buyers are going to notice some odors of the home. Every house has its own scent. It just does. We just want to make sure yours isn't offensive. And it is, because the cats. Like, I'd say that early on. So when you don't have a showing in 10 days, or how about a nearby home just sold for a lot less and it's very similar to the one you have on the market and it's not yours. That means they looked at yours and theirs and they didn't come back and do a second showing at yours. What was going on? How do you have that conversation? These are just scenarios that you should all be role playing. If you're not role playing with your teams, then what you're telling them is you have a high level of confidence in their ability to overcome an objection, resolve a concern, and move that transaction to closing. And in most cases, the agents that are on your teams or in your groups aren't trained because they've never had to do it. So your assumption that they can do it and do it well is misplaced. Great agents aren't hired, and they certainly aren't recruited. They're developed. And so we have to decide if we want to be in the developing agents business or in the letting them fail agents business. Seller says, well, let's wait a few more weeks before we make any changes. Is that a good thing to role play? That is the status of today's market. Everybody is in pause mode. Everybody's in wait and see. Well, let's see if the Fed lowers rates. Let's wait and see if Trump changes his mind on tariffs. Let's wait and see if, right? And all of those things don't matter. There is no upside to wait and see. And so do you have the script around should we wait and see that you role play with your teams using that emotional intelligence languaging that we just taught? So here's a couple of things, and these are just tips. Then I'll open it up for questions. When you're leading a role play sessions, if you're leading role plays, set the tone of safety. Start by saying, okay, everybody knows this is a safe place. You don't win role play. We're practicing to see how we do so we can help each other grow. And it's not a performance. You're not going to get scored on your performance. We just want to give feedback so you can try it differently. Use timers. Set short scenarios to simulate the pressure they would have if they actually got that objection. They don't have time to be scrolling to Chat GPT to see how to respond to it. They actually have to respond. And the only way to get there is by saying it 1,000 times. Rotate partners so people see and can feel it with different personality types, male, female, behavioral styles, generations, even ethnic groups. So you learn how people respond culturally. All of those things matter. And a great salesperson has the ability to adapt to whatever situation they're in. And then I love when you do a role play to just debrief it. Okay, what worked? What felt clunky or what felt awkward? And then what got a really good reaction and what got a bad reaction? What causes the body language of your person to fall back? And then last but not least, always celebrate progress, not perfection. We want to do better and not be perfect. And so if you'll celebrate progress, not perfection, you'll find that people will respond more positively to your languaging. So I know I gave you a lot of stuff in a short period of time right there. Let me just, let's see how this works here. I told you to opt in. Remember, if you haven't registered for this, if you're over 20 million in production and you want to be one of the team leaders in a room right after coaches training October 2nd through the 4th, we would love to have you there. It's team leaders only, not team members, 20 million in production or higher a year. And we're going to spend a day on e-bikes and do a bit of a high adventure. And then we'll do 2 days of masterminding. And it's going to be not just Workman clients, but there's going to be a good mix of people from around the country that are in production that want to be in a room. One of the key things with this group is we're going to have a high level focus on zero cost and doing your own lead generation with your own funnels. And we're going to also have a high level focus on artificial intelligence and agents and really being able to get artificial intelligence to do the task that usually is done by people. And so there's going to be a high level focus on AI and a high level focus on lead gen. So many people are just, have just died on the sword of buying Zillow leads or Zillow Flex or some of these other programs. They spend so much money, and we're not doing enough to really engage in the marketplace and how to really convert. And so the people that are coming to this are really, really strong in that, including one of our ClickFunnels guys that was trained by Russell Brunson himself, and he's got two comma awards, meaning he's done $10 million campaigns on his ClickFunnels. So he's going to be there and sharing with us and how he uses AI to get and do appointment setting and all kinds of cool stuff. So it's going to be a great thing. Okay, let me open up the rest of the call. I'm just going to say what's on your minds. So I've got like a few minutes we can just visit with you. Tell me what's going on in your minds. What's going on in your businesses? What would you like a little bit of Big V help with? And anybody. Chrissy's smiling. She's like, I got the world by the tail. Everything's great. All my agents are producing. There's no drama.
I have 5 million questions for you. That's what I was excited about. And I'm happy to say that most of my team is here. So they're all
great.
Yeah, this is good. I think the biggest thing I'm dealing with right now is myself. I feel like I've hit a very high, like I'm producing pretty well. I've got my icon awards. I've I'm growing my team. I'm hitting a lot of my goals.
Love it.
But I'm hitting the ceiling and I'm getting to an uncomfortable position where I'm going to have to give up more control and I'm going to so I'm learning how to let go, so that I can grow, letting go to grow. And that's hard. So I think that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to work through.
Okay, give me a description of what your next level looks like. What does your double look like?
Oh, my double. Well, it looks like having 20 agents on my personal team.
Okay.
It looks like like not every agent, but ideally my agents are doing 2 transactions a month at least.
Yep. And
Uh,
so you'll be
yeah,
that's 12 times 20, it'd be 240 transactions.
240 transaction
Okay.
plus my business partner still produces, so we do 50 plus transactions a year. So it's probably close to 300 transactions
Okay.
is
And
what the goal.
so what does your job look like? And so one of the biggest things that I found helpful when looking at doing scale is you have to recognize, Chrissy, you can't do any more. And so it's not about doing more, it's about changing what you focus on.
Yes.
And so in order for you to do 300 transactions without you and your partner's production, what does your life look like? And let's define that. So define what it would look like if you had to get to 300 and you and your partner couldn't produce. And what would your role on the team be that would fill you up and give you joy and the things that make you uniquely you? What
Yeah,
does that look like?
yeah, it looks like being able to do one-on-ones and spend more time like helping my agents and help them custom and build their dreams, helping them make more money and being a really good mentor and leader to them. Um,
So
it looks,
you become
yeah.
instead of focused on selling houses, your business development and people development. Lee, does this sound like a familiar conversation? So
Yeah.
Lee and I coached together for years, and he's a good friend and runs a phenomenal team back in Virginia or in Maryland.
Yep. Also familiar. So then just depend, and then it's a moving target too. So it depends on what you really want. And then when you get time back, because I think of when I was at KW back in the day, I was like, oh, I want seventh level. I'm like, do I
Do
really
you?
want seventh level? No, not really. I like it. I like being in the business enough. And then helping when you help enough other agents get what they want, then you get what you want, and then you can live better quality of life, period. And then where's your balance of what you enjoy doing the most?
And is it reasonable to get to 300 transactions yearly
Oh yeah. Yeah. Our best year was 476 with 13 agents.
Wow.
with 13 agents?
Yeah.
And so what happens is, and you may choose, and I found that like even some of my highest producing clients, like Christy Buckley, she didn't love just doing agent work. She actually missed going out with sellers. She misses the game. And so we've repositioned her role on the team to go out and do real estate as much as you want, but not because she has to, because that's what fills her up. She loves it. And
Yeah.
so,
Probably
and
25 deals or so a year.
yep.
Just 'cause it's enjoyable and fun.
Yeah. Plus it keeps you sharp. You know what the agents are dealing with, you train better. So redefine, and I think that as you're redefining your role and you're redefining what you and your partner do, think bigger and don't think just about real estate. Think about your empire and what are you building from a walk away business that includes real estate holdings, things outside of real estate. You're an entrepreneur, is what you are, and real estate funds the things that you're interested in. You've got all of these great things. So that would be my advice to any of you that are trying to figure out, what to do. When you listen to Brent Gove, he doesn't just talk about selling houses or attracting people. He talks about real estate investing and where he has homes. And it's about wealth building and using this vehicle called real estate to wealth build so that you can at any point make any decision you want to, not because of you do or don't have the money. It's because it's the smartest thing to do for your family. So I don't know if that helps you, but
It does. How do you get through the limiting thoughts and beliefs? Like, because sometimes you feel like you've hit your ceilings and like, that's great, Lee. Oh my gosh, that's amazing that you're doing that. but like there's that limiting, can I really do that? I don't know. Me, and so sometimes I feel like I'm a big fish in a small pond, and I like my ego of being a big fish in a small pond. But if I go be a small fish in a bigger pond, I don't know if I can compete.
You'll be
And I don't
fine.
know why that bothers me, but there's some limiting thoughts and beliefs in there.
I think
You
when
know?
you're in those bigger rooms and it helps. I mean, it's seeing what others accomplish, and then it becomes really, what is it really important to you or not that important? And then you see different lifestyles. What do you really want? What do you want to go chase? Because there's always some kind of sacrifice.
Hmm.
So
So I say I never, ever, ever want to be the smartest or the biggest producer in any room that I'm in. If I am, I'm in the wrong rooms. I want you to be uncomfortably small in the mastermind that you're in because there's so much more. And so I don't mean to bring God into this, but I believe we're all sons and daughters of God, and God didn't make anybody any better than anybody else.
Hmm.
And so by saying that you don't have value or you're not good enough to do something somebody else does, doesn't recognize your divine heritage. Like you are absolutely capable of anything you choose or want to do. The only difference between Lee's 469 and your 300 or 50 or whatever the number is he focuses on different activities. It's not that he's better. It's just that he's figured out where to put his time and effort to get the highest return on time. And then he's also created really great systems and processes to develop people. Like when I asked who role played, whose hand went up? Lee's, right? And he's doing the activities that generate the results that he wants. So it's not better or worse. Like it's not there's no personality or there's no human. I think that we feel the way we do about ourselves because of the environments we were raised in. And I'll just be personal with you for a minute. My mom told me that I shouldn't go to college because I was in resource in high school and I wasn't that smart. And I didn't go to college. And I did 18 months, but I hated it. And so she's like, I was told that I didn't have value from a very, very small age. And I think it was because she didn't have the money or knew she wouldn't be able to afford it. And so she just told me that I didn't have that kind of value. I was told by my DECA teacher in high school that there's no career path to be motivational speaker, even though I just saw Zig Ziglar talk and I wanted to be like him. I want to go back and prove all these people wrong. They're not. So what happens is people in our lives feed us with things that create self-doubt, someone that makes you don't feel like you're valuable or you don't have any self-worth. And so I just say that you are valuable and there is no limit to what you can accomplish because we've all been in those same scenarios where people made us question our value. And so you go back to that kind of that divine heritage that you believe in and say, okay, I'm a son or daughter of God or whatever it is you believe in that's greater than you. And I know that that entity doesn't make mistakes. And so I'm going to live up to my potential and not compare myself to anybody else. And Chrissy, you're playing really small based on
Hmm.
what your potential is.
I know. That's what I'm feeling. I keep having that
Yeah.
being brought forward, and I have very similar to beliefs and everything. And like
Yep.
the biggest thing I'm feeling is God is calling me to do bigger. And I'm like, oh, that's uncomfortable. But I like
Well,
what you said, to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, basically, right?
so I did a talk at coaches training in the spring and it was called Joy in the Journey. And I talked about a principle called um, the profitability principle. And we talked about all of the pressure that happens before great things happen. And that if you think about all the times in your life, Lee, when anything was hard, or Chrissy, when you thought you should quit, but you persevered through it, and then that's when a breakthrough happens. Well, there's a process that happens in our lives and when you get to that place where you're about ready to quit and you don't see any potential, and then that little spring of flower spouts through the cement crack, a diamond isn't created overnight. Like they're created through all this pressure. We need to put ourselves in situations where we feel pressure. And when you do that, that's when your growth happens, not before.
Mm.
So you don't have enough pressure. And so you don't put that pressure on yourself because you're good where you are. And so you don't really want to screw it up. And so you avoid the things that got you to where you are, which was the hunger and the need to produce, because you don't have that anymore. You're making money. And so how do you create that pressure? Sometimes we're able to create that by feeling we're called by something bigger. and we need to give back and make a difference in the world. But you cannot, well, it's much harder to do that if you don't have any money. And
Mhm.
so we have to give ourselves permission to make a boatload of money. I don't care if you give it all away, but without profitability, it's really difficult to give back. And so I've been in poverty and I've made lots of money and I've been everywhere in between. And you have different problems everywhere. There, it's like you're not exempt to having issues because you've made money. It's just different problems, and you solve them differently when you have some. When you have a child that needs, something major and it's $60,000 or $70,000, and you don't even bat an eye, you write a check because you can. But when you don't have the money, you try and find alternative solutions that may not be the right one because you don't have any money. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so being profitable and making money, you have to give yourself permission to. It's okay to make a boatload of money
Okay.
if your purpose is to make a difference in other people's lives. Like, I won't even coach you if you tell me you want to make a boatload of money if you don't have a real core motivating value or why. Like, it's like I have no interest in that because that's not the room I want to be in. When I hang out with people like that, they're all about the stuff. And it's a false sense of joy. It's not what really makes you happy in life. I'm going way off the rails today, but I love
I
that you
love
asked
it.
that question.
This is awesome. Thank you so much. It's exactly what I needed to hear today. So thank you.
Good. Lee, I miss you, man.
Oh, it's been a while.
It's great. It's great. It's great. It's great to see. I'm glad you're here. You're the great group, man.
Everything's good. Knock on wood.
Good. Well, I'm sure we're going to have an opportunity to catch up soon. Everybody, thanks for being here today. I got to bounce. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bring your groups and your organizations. It seems like we're stuck in this 30 number. Let's see if we can bust it out. Brent's giving you the challenge to get it to hundreds. And so let's get some hundreds on here. Make this so it's valuable. I'll do this as long as we get a great group. So I need you to help me get a great group here. I'm happy to be here, but it's got to be, we got to make it worth the return on time. Does that make sense? So I'm asking you to help me fill the room. So 100 is our next number. Let's get there quick. Thanks, everybody. And I'll see you at the mastermind if you can make it. Bye.
Thanks,
We're all